All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Racha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And as you can see in the title, a foreshadowing of a cyber attack, question mark. And this comes as a result of an article that I was reading earlier today, where actually one of the brothers put it in the chat, and it's basically a I think it's the FBI, and they were basically saying that advising people to start using more encrypted messaging or encrypted communications, right? So for example, platforms like WhatsApp, right, that encrypt your messages, and mainly between when you're communicating between, say, iPhone and Android, right? Because I believe iPhone to iPhone already has encryption, but in cross system like that, they don't really have that encryption in between. So you had these different alphabet groups. I think particularly mentioned the FBI in there, that were saying that you're gonna have or you already have Chinese hackers, and these foreign bad actors, as they call them, basically inspecting the communication in between, right? And at the same time, they can do more, right? You may think, well, what's the harm in, I mean, I'm not saying anything crazy if I'm texting my grandmother like a happy birthday message, like why do I care if there's Chinese hackers in between that are looking at that, right? But the thing about it is, these hackers, they've gone to the point where they can actually hijack your network, your communication, and use that, to then further their agendas, right? So when they talk about encryption, right, what do they mean? What they mean is, if I'm sending a message to somebody, right, if I'm sending a text message to, a brother, right, a friend, whoever it is, that message, that text message is going to travel, right, from my phone via, basically the internet or whatever, right, different routers and basically points in between until it gets to the next person's phone. And as the message is going in between, that is when it is susceptible to being intercepted, right? Meaning that somebody can be sitting or positioned in the middle, and as your message is coming across, they can then grab it and basically think of it like an envelope, right? Like you mail something to someone. Think of it like you mail something to someone, and as the mail is being shipped or sent to them, it comes to a stop, right? One post office to another, to another, to another, and at one of the post office, you have one of the mailmen opens up your mail and sees what's in it. So if this and that's actually a pretty good analogy. If this mailman has evil intentions, I mean, number one, he sees what your mail is, right? Whatever message you're sending, and number two, the mailman can possibly open up your mail, put some other stuff that they want in it, and then send that. Okay, so that's pretty much and I'm gonna get to the point of the lesson, right? But that's pretty much what they're saying here, right? If you have some they say some Chinese mailmen, right? Using the analogy, you're sending a message to your grandma back and forth. She's replying. She's on Android. You're on iPhone. You send your message just like you sending a mail, right? So your mail goes to one post office, then to another until it gets to your grandma's house, which is her phone. And then you have these bad actors in between that then, oh, I work at the post, quote unquote, work at the post office. A mail just came in. Let me open it and see what's in it. When your message is encrypted, what that means is they may still be able to open up your mailbox, but they won't be able to understand what's actually in it. Imagine maybe you have you've put your treasure inside of a lockbox, and then you've put the lockbox inside of the mail. So they can open up the mailbox, but they can't actually open up the lock because they don't have the key for that. That's how encryption works. So your message is going across, only you and your grandma know what's inside of that box. The mailman in the middle doesn't have access to it. That's the whole point. Why is this potentially dangerous? Well, if once again this Chinese mailman, this hacker, is in the middle, he sees your mail or your message come through, he may actually be able to say, yo, you know what? I'm gonna take your mail. I'm gonna put some additional stuff in there. Maybe it's a secret message that I'm trying to send to my, like this guy is trying to send to his other hacker friend, who've infiltrated the place or whatever. He might take your mail. He might put a secret message inside it with your package, and then he might actually rip off the label and say, hey, send it somewhere else, or something along those lines, right? That's pretty much how these hackers are able to go to that extent and manipulate your messages and your information and stuff, so long as it goes across the internet and it's not encrypted. Now, going to the main point of the lesson, which is why the reason I titled it a foreshadowing, is because this isn't a 2024 problem, right? This isn't an issue of today. And in the article that I was reading, they did mention, well, they didn't just start sounding the alarm today, right? Okay, fair point. But we're now at a point where it is in their best interest, by they I mean the so-called elite, to do something in the digital realm. Okay, and what I mean by that is something that exposes the vulnerability of the current system as it is. That way they can have a reason or an excuse to go ahead and push for a new system. It's the same thing they did, and this is the reason Klaus Schwab compared the next major event, as he mentioned it being a crazy cyber attack. He compared it to the CVD, right? The code, the thing that happened these past few years. He compared it to that, but in the digital realm. Why? Because when you look at the similarities, though this was happening in a physical sense, what was actually happening? They exposed a so-called boogeyman and used that to say, this is what's wrong with our current system as it is, and we need to adopt these measures. That's where the whole 6 feet, wear the mask, lockdowns, all of those came in to say, we need to do this because we were unprepared. Our current system as it is wasn't working. Like, we knew that if a situation like this came, we would be in a bad position, but we never had means or justification to do something about it. But now that we're in this situation, let's do something about it. That's basically the narrative they pushed with this whole thing, right? And they got people that believed them, people that didn't believe them, but fell for the, they pressured, coerced into doing things that they might not have originally wanted to do. Well, guess what? In the digital realm, it's the same thing, except a lot of people today are not digitally aware of things. So it can be easier to get people to eat it up. How many articles have they come saying red flags about the water system, which is now based on, electronical systems, right? How many articles have there been saying that the infrastructure, for example, of the US is weak, is bad? There's infiltrators that have hacked into different systems in here. They've been saying that for a while. So and they do that to prime and condition the minds of the people to expect something like this to happen. Okay, so what Klaus Schwab did in saying that was he threw a little sign out there for you, though he knew it wouldn't happen in the immediate years after he said that, but he still threw it out there, because they always like to do that. They always like to throw it out there before some decade or so down the line they actually go ahead and do it. Okay, so for them to actually then initiate some large scale, and I mean like actual large scale cyber attack or something of that sort that actually targets things like a cash-based system, or your regular average debit and credit cards, or your regular system that's used for verifying whether it's like the IRS or the way money is dealt, the financial system as it is now. They can have a devastating cyber attack that can expose that and say, hey, this was an insecure means we were using. Look at what this cyber attack did. Look at how it crippled everything. One lightweight example is what's that? What's the name? CrowdStrike. I believe that was the name. Yeah, CrowdStrike. The situation that happened with CrowdStrike was an interesting one because literally in a matter of hours, right, minutes to hours, almost everything stopped, right? Everything stopped because it's like an operating system level issue, and so all the machines, and that's when people became more aware of how reliant this advanced world has become on technology. To say, oh, Windows operating systems, I think it was, right, are not working now because there's this blue screen. You can't power on past that booting screen because of this bug or this error. Just like that, flights, banks, all of these things, they're now screwed, right? So if that's a test run, and they do something that is not isolated to just one operating system, is not isolated to just one particular small pocket or small sector, but it's wide enough to cause enough fear. Well, look at the effects or the symptoms that the physical aspect had, right? The symptoms that the CV, the CV thing had was, one thing is, it got everybody doing the same thing. In a nutshell, right? Not like an exact replica, but in a nutshell, what they were doing over here in Babylon, they were doing in other parts, right? And then you would see it was like a trend. Oh, there's a case over here. Oh, there's a case over there. They implementing lockdowns over here. Oh, they're doing it over here. So everybody was adopting this sort of like drone-like mindset of, oh, let's all follow the same rules. Let's all follow the same regulations, and let's work together and defeat this thing. Let's unite the world. Uniting the world with 6 feet apart. How do you think it would play out when it comes to, instead of a physical issue, you have a digital issue? So the point is, when they come out and they start throwing these things out here, which they've been doing for a while, these are all foreshadowings. Okay, but something like that would be a very streamlined way with a great justification to say, we started a push towards the digital side of things. You can already see, like, for example, what the new administration, right, the Trump administration, with the replacement of the old, I guess, Democratic side and the new age Republican side, how they're already pushing and embracing things like crypto and digital assets and this technological innovations, tokenizations, and all of these things. So they can say, hey, we already started moving towards this, but now because of this, we gotta, like, everybody gotta get on it. And as a part of that, that includes, bringing systems that are more secure, i.e., shifting towards more biometric systems. If you notice, a lot of the security measures that are being taken now, a lot of them are moving towards like biometrics as well, because when you have something like two-factor authentication, I believe there's like 3 means, all right, but 2 of them I remember right now. One of them is what you know, and another one is what you have. So, like, sometimes you try to sign into something and they require you to set up a two or multi-factor or two. What they're saying is you need to verify your identity in 2 ways. Right? For us to identify and authorize you to access account, you need to verify in 2 ways. Number 1, what you know, right? Your username and your password, that's what you know. And number 2, what you have. And that's where they'll tell you to, like, download some authenticator app that'll generate a code, right? Or they'll tell you, we'll send you a text message with a code and you got to provide us that code. That is the second factor, which is what you have. So by combining these 2, what you know and what you have, they have a stronger layer of security to identify that, okay, you are the right person. You have this person's phone, because that's how you receive this code, and you know this person's username and password. That's probably you then, right? But eventually that won't be secure enough, because you can steal somebody's phone and know their email and password. Eventually, to ultimately verify, we will need biometrics, because unless I cut off somebody's hand, or and then try to use that, there's no way that there's no way I can impersonate them. So just keep an eye out for that avenue of things, because that is eventually where this thing is going. It's already here now, but it's not mainstream yet, because they're still waiting for that, or pushing towards that driving factor that is going to allow this to become, you know, the next big thing, so to speak. You know, so there's some spaghetti for your plate. But the whole point here is this is like a foreshadowing, you know, that we have to keep in mind of these signs and these warnings that they're dishing out here. You know, and as the scriptures say, you know, I know I haven't really quoted too much, but First Thessalonians, the 5th chapter, right? Like the Apostle Paul said, I have no need, you know, ye have no need that I write unto you these things, roughly paraphrasing, because you yourselves know what time it is, right? So you already know what time we're living in. You already know what precepts are lingering in the air, you know, in terms of these matters, right? But as the scriptures say, be not ignorant of anything in a small or a great matter. So just, you know, if you've been paying attention, these things happen just like that. It almost seems, on one Thursday morning, you wake up and there's an article, and then there's a lot of breaking news, and then this is going on, you know, and that can happen at any point, at any moment. So, as the scriptures say, as the Lord told us, we have to watch as well as pray, and be very, very observant of these things. You know, don't remain ignorant of these things, because you live in a digital age. You live in a digital world, and having at least a basic understanding of how things are working now and where things are going will take you a long way, you know. So, you know, that's pretty much what I wanted to say. Lord willing, it was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rechak Kodash. Pray for fewer days and pray for the protection of the Lord, you know, the protection and mercy from Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Until next time, Shalom.